Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Gigawatts. I am Peter, and I am joined by Matt.
Hey, what's up?
I'm also joined by Tim.
It's funny when you say joined, I just imagine if like a scientist
Fused.
just sewed us all together.
And right
Uh,
within seconds, Tim shows what sort of caliber conversation he's bringing to the
I'm
show.
just saying I would probably murder one of you. I'm not, not gonna choose favorites, but
All right, so we talk about movies on this show, and new movies specifically. This is our new movie show, so it's not every week because obviously we don't necessarily want to see something every week. They release some stuff that's worth seeing sometimes, and sometimes not.
Speak
But
for yourself.
oh, I'm sorry, what did you see last weekend, Tim?
Uh, the chipmunk adventure. I don't know.
The
that's a good one. Bully, bully. I like the Chipmunk Adventure though.
oh dear. So yeah, we're talking about movies, and on this is quite a notable one. This is going to be Alien Covenant, and of course, if you pay attention to the channel, obviously 1.21 in Flux are sort of our older movie review show where we just go back and look at other movies we want to watch and talk about. We've done all of the Alien
You don't
movies.
just look at them, you usually watch them.
That was terrible. That was terrible. We watched all of the other Alien movies and Prometheus on the build up to this. We started. Uh,
Probably 6 weeks ago.
With Alien.
no, it was longer. It was like February. We started.
Oh wow.
We spread them out. We did it was kind of one a month, and then until we got closer, and we bundled the last two close together. But
Not to give a peek beyond the curtain, but oh, what a way to end that from February to now.
well,
Oh,
that's the thing. When I started in February, I was feeling quite optimistic. I was like,
yeah.
yeah, but maybe we'll end on a high note. And yeah, so we will start spoiler free. We'll give like a quick 10-minute spoiler free impressions, thoughts, that kind of thing, and then we'll go into spoilers. We'll give you warning, and we'll talk about plot and details and what actually the meat of it. Because I think a lot of this, I think everything after Act One is complete spoilers. I think
Yeah.
I don't think you could talk about any of that in spoiler free, details wise. So. Uh, so, of course, unfortunately, Connor's not here. Connor reviewed all the other movies with me, but you two have also seen them all, so it's not
Yeah.
like you're just fish out of water in that sense. So, let's get into it. I kind of hated this.
Hate's a strong word. I was more frustrated than anything because I really didn't like Prometheus because Prometheus set up all this weird backstory and it tried a whole lot of stuff
And Joe's
that
funny.
just didn't work.
Joe's funny about that is I actually remember liking Prometheus more until I watched it to review it for the channel last
Yeah.
month, and my opinion was like,
Yeah.
I I'd agree
Go
with
ahead.
that. I'm sorry.
No, go
There
Tim.
you go. Well, just to kind of hop on the Prometheus thing for a second, I had a similar feeling when I first saw that. I remember liking it and actually defending it a little bit, and then I rewatched it before this movie. And I was like, yeah, this isn't very good. But at the same time, I respect it a lot more for at least trying to do something different. Whereas Alien Covenant, I feel like was just so mediocre, generic, bland, like just trying to do the same kind of action movie I feel like we've been seeing since 2011. Like nothing about it felt really new or stylized or anything. Like at the very least, I would have wanted them to try to do something crazy that didn't work, rather than just trying to appease fans with this
well,
very middle of the road movie.
that's the thing though. See if they had just given us like what fans wanted as an Alien movie. I mean, sure, it would be a watered down carbon copy of maybe Alien or Aliens, right? But I feel like if at least that it was that, but done well, because
But
it's Ridley Scott directing and his
isn't that
visuals
what a
is good.
prequel usually is? Right? Like, because they
A lot of
wanted,
times, yeah.
yeah, because they wanted to have some familiarity with the main story that it's going back to tell the time before about. But yeah, but I only brought up Prometheus because I thought it was a Damon Lindelof problem.
Uh,
And it turns
No.
out it's a Ridley Scott problem because this movie Damon Lindelof has nothing to do with, and it still has a lot of the same problems as Prometheus.
Well, here's the thing though. Like, the point I was getting at is that if they just did that well, if it was just it's just kind of what we've done before with Alien, but it's a new set of characters, kind of like a slasher movie sequel. Here's a new set of characters, and it's the same kind of thing. The problem is though is they don't really do that. They try and shoehorn all of this quasi philosophical bullshit into it again. It's even more silly than it was in the last movie.
Which I like the idea of, but it's not executed well at all.
The execution's... Because the movie doesn't know what it is. The movie tries to be that, and then the last act tries to be an Alien movie, but because it squashes down what an Alien movie is into, however long it was, it just feels rushed. It feels like...
Well, the Alien stuff comes up as almost like a Deus Ex Machina, where it's like, oh yeah, we were supposed to be an Alien movie, and then it just feels tacked on. Like, the last act is a pretty decent Alien movie.
I disagree.
The lead up... No, you don't think so?
I completely disagree. I think the Alien...
Because I had fun.
No,
I had fun.
Matt, the alien end of this movie has no threat whatsoever. He is taken care of so easily. It's like none of the sense that this is like this perfect killing machine is even there. It's like Ridley Scott forgot the monster he helped invent. It's so weird.
But see, that's why I still thought it was a proto one. Like, it wasn't the full yet. You know what I mean? Because we're still... How far are we from Ripley and the Nostromo?
Not a lot. Me and Connor looked up years, actually, when we did Prometheus, and I've forgotten what they are roughly, but Prometheus was only, it was like 40 years before Alien, and then this was another...
Oh, okay, well, I figured there was more time in between.
No, this is like a couple of decades.
So then my thought that it was just a proto thing is out the window then, and now I have to agree with Pete, which I hate doing.
I don't want to talk too much about the last act just now, though, because I feel like to really talk about it, I want to
But I will say, though,
spoilers, but
being detached from it, I did have fun with it after sitting through what felt like 2 hours, and the movie's only 2 hours, so that can't be possible, of the stuff that was driving me nuts.
Because, see, here's the thing, I was quite hopeful in the opening act. The opening act, it again, I can't talk about this completely without spoilers, but it starts with an incident that gives everything a bit of sense of dread. Like, there's like, oh, this is dangerous. What we're doing, even before we get to the idea that there might be aliens and dangerous planets, what we're doing is dangerous and it's hard, and there's threats to our lives out here in space. It gives that opening sense of that. And I thought, comparing it to Prometheus, I thought this had at least a few better characters. Like, I at least got a few of them right away. I got a bit of personality. I got, Daniels, I kind of remembered her. Tallahassee stood out. I got kind of what the relationships... Tennessee. You see what I did there, though?
Long T word, it's fine.
Yeah.
I think I'd kind of disagree with that. I really did not feel anything for the characters until, like, the last act of the movie. And it was just basically those two, I thought, finally got some personality. I think in the beginning, you just get the barest little bit of personality.
Here's
like,
the thing, though, Tim.
his name's Tennessee and he wears a cowboy hat. I guess that's a character.
But, Tim, here's the thing, though. I actually think the characters got worse as the movie went on, because the middle of the movie forgets they exist, almost.
Yeah.
Well, I think most characters really nothing's done with.
No, I agree, but... I'm comparing it to Prometheus, Tim, where the characters were so bland and forgettable that I couldn't even remember who anyone was. At least in this, I remembered that the one with the cowboy hat was the guy who was like sort of piloting things, and I remembered what Daniels was doing, and that she, just went through this thing, and I had this sense of who they were. Maybe not deep, maybe not like, oh, they've got great character arcs and things, but
I don't feel like it was a very like superficial, like, or it wasn't a very deep level that I understood these characters.
Compare it to a slasher movie again, Tim. Kind of how a good slasher movie, they're not deep characters, but you remember who they all are, because they have their own look, they have their own personality to a point.
Well, and in a slasher movie, which is what you kind of want Alien to be, you want to care for the characters. So when they do get taken out, you're like, oh man. Well, here, when a lot of them are taken out when stuff starts going wrong, you're kind of like, oh, well, that's what you get for doing that. Like...
Well, that's the other thing as well, is that this movie, the only ones it gives any times to are the ones that are actually going to survive most of the movie. So all the deaths that happen...
It really tips its hand.
Are like so meaningless because you don't care about these ones. Go back to Alien, I can remember most of the characters in Alien's names, even though, I watch it once every so often. And I usually struggle with names.
The first one is such a slow burn, too. Like, it's Ridley Scott took his time there, and then in Aliens, which I haven't seen Aliens in a while,
Hmm.
it just doesn't. James Cameron just kind of push you off into the deep end, and it's like you're gonna learn these characters, but not like in that slow burn way.
I don't know. I mean, it's not as slow as Alien, but there's
Yeah.
still. I think there's a lot more runtime before you get to that planet than you think there is, Matt.
Okay.
There's a
I'm
lot of
gonna go
stuff.
back and rewatch.
Yeah.
It was originally my intention to rewatch Aliens. I bought it before.
Mm.
I just haven't had time. So I have the Blu-ray sitting there, and I want to rewatch it, but
I'd say like
yeah.
Aliens is like a good at least hour or so before really
Before?
the
Okay.
alien stuff kicks in.
Yeah, there's a
Okay.
lot of stuff in the ship with just meeting the Marines and stuff and kind of that kind of
Okay.
thing. And this movie felt like it was starting to do that. That's why I said I had this hope in Act 1. And I liked
Yeah.
it used some of the score from Alien, had that same kind of sense of wonder where there's this. I liked how they got like to the planet. It was again kind of similar to the original where it was like an accident. It wasn't like an intentional
Yeah.
thing, and that gave it this sense of mystery. But once they actually got to the planet, and then everything that happens into Act 2 and 3, it just kind of it just did nothing. But it took the things I didn't like about Prometheus and made them 10 times worse somehow. To the point where I now think of this and Prometheus as the prequels to Alien, in the same way that I think of the Star Wars prequels to Star Wars.
Oh yeah, this has a super like George Lucas-y prequel
Yeah.
kind of problemitis.
I mean, it's not
feeling about it.
it's not as absolute trash as the Star Wars prequels, just because at least Ridley Scott visually is still a great director. It looks good.
Yeah.
Like you can give him that, if nothing else.
he's a better visual storyteller than George, for sure.
Yeah. The
No.
one thing I think you can say about this movie is at
It
the
looks
very
great.
least it looked good. I thought it sounded good.
Oh yeah, music's good. Yeah, I mean,
that's kind of
technical.
about where
Actually,
it falls apart. though.
yeah, technical levels, like all the technical stuff.
Yeah. It's
wh-
the story though, and that's why I go to watch movies more than
Right.
anything is for the story. And when the story whiffs, it,
Well, see,
it takes everything else down.
This is the
a
thing, Matt. I would
notch.
argue in this. I mean, arguably they're kind of the same thing, but I would say in an Alien movie, the characters are more important because I don't think Alien really has that much of a story. It's very
Well, that's
simple.
what I mean by
It's a
story.
creature.
Yeah.
I mean when I say story, I mean the characters, the plot, all of that, all the stuff that makes you care beyond just the filmmaking aspect of the score and cinematography and editing and all that. I mean that section.
That stuff's
Yeah.
mostly good. I think the effects have a couple of weird moments where it didn't quite hold up.
I really didn't like the CGI that much.
On the
And, I mean,
creatures?
I feel like this is probably just old man complaining, being like, I don't like these computers, But like every time, the alien is such a cool, iconic creature, and just all these
It
memories
should be
from.
person in a suit, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
Well,
I think the
hold
perfect
on.
way to do anything is person in a suit with use CGI to touch up and do the
Yeah.
stuff that you can't do.
Jurassic Park it.
Well,
Exactly.
I don't know if I completely agree that the alien full size should be a person in a suit, because I think
Of course, the robot loves the computers.
Shut up. No, the reason why I say that is because it was great in the original movies, but they had to do a lot of dancing around it because they, Alien, like Jaws, they couldn't show it all clearly because it looks shit, so they had to hide it and put it in shadows and.
You've ever seen that alternate ending where you get a really good look at the alien and it's like crab walking? It's just
I don't think I saw that.
Yeah.
it's floating out there on YouTube, so check that out.
Because
after this.
I think the CG for the alien is fine when it's full size. It's when there's like smaller, it's when it's just first
Oh, yeah.
born and
Yeah.
it's that
That's
stuff
more
that
what
I
I
think
have a
looks
problem
bad.
with.
Yeah, that should be a. Well, hell, that can even be CG. It could just be good CG. The problem was it just looked bad. I mean, it's really quite simple.
Yeah, I see a lot of my stuff comes past this, so I have to keep stopping myself from saying things.
Yeah.
You know?
We'll get on to spoilers then just in
Yeah.
a second then. So I think there's not much else to say without spoilers anyway, except it's frustrating. Its ideas are kind of silly and ridiculous, and feel out of place in an alien movie. And honestly, it does this same thing that Prometheus did that really pissed me off. And I'll talk about this more in the spoilers, but I just want to really make this clear. The ending somehow takes it further away of feeling connected to what leads into Alien and sets it up for yet another movie. Although apparently Ridley Scott wants to do a movie that's set in between these two movies, and I don't feel why or how, because
No, I won't go see it. I'm going to tell you right now, Ridley. I'm not. You tricked me twice. You ain't going to get me. I don't care about what happened between. And that is what frustrated me the most, was the stuff in between. So, nah.
All right, we're dancing around
Go back to
spoilers.
making Robin Hood.
Yeah, we're dancing around spoilers so much. I think it's worth just diving in. Let's get into it. So, full spoilers from this point on for Alien Covenant. Right. So,
The Covenant is a ship.
Covenant is a ship,
Yeah.
much like Prometheus was the
Spoiler.
ship. And I'm cool with that. I'm cool with the idea that we named the movie after the ships. That's actually kind of a nice idea.
But
I was hoping for an
But it's
actual
also
Covenant of
a sledgehammer shot to the head of metaphor too. It was like, oh, covenant, like the Bible, like creation, and a creator's deal with its things that it's created. It's like,
I think there was a
Okay.
lot of this movie that was trying to sound smarter than it
Yep.
was.
Oh,
Like
that's-
the
yeah.
ultimate villain just trying to. It's like I feel like I've seen this James
Yeah.
Bond villain monologue kind of thing like
Well,
a million times,
that-
just doing random quotes and.
I want to roughly kind of go
So-
through it in order. I want to start with Act 1 and kind of stay there for
can
now.
we start with
'cause-
that stupid prologue that I had no reason. Which I had the old lady in front of me. So Guy Pearce's character from the first one shows up, and clearly a flashback with Fassbender's robot David from the first one. And the lady in front of me, who was
Matt,
probably
stop saying the
pushed
first one. It's
70
weird. It's not the first one.
Not the Prometheus. That's what I meant. First one of this series.
Yeah.
Asks her husband as loud as she can, "Is that Brad Pitt? Is that Brad Pitt?" I was like, "Lady, shut up. Doesn't matter if it's Brad Pitt. They're talking about Wagner. Why? Like,
Well, because it's why set up these themes about because obviously the androids have been such a big part of the Alien movies, and they've used that quite well in the past, and they're going with this whole idea that some life created us, then we created these things, and it's trying to make it all it's trying to make all
It
this
also-
circular bullshit. But let's not talk about that yet, because that's very much Act 2. Let's save David for later. 'cause-
okay. Well, when you said you want to start at the beginning, I thought we should start with the prologue. But that's just me.
That's a fair assumption, but I feel like that just goes with David's shit from later.
Just one thing though, I do just want to say quick
Fassbender?
about that scene, just because it does this throughout the movie, and this is a problem with prequels in general, where everything has to have a reason. Like, oh, what's your name? And then he looks up at the statue of David, and he's like, my name's David. Like, oh, like we didn't. His name could have just been David. We didn't have to know he was named after something. And
Also, this movie broke the
It's a good
pattern.
thing the thinker wasn't there.
This movie broke the
or
pattern.
those dogs playing poker.
I don't know if you'd noticed this. Connor pointed this out when he was talking about Prometheus. They've named all the androids from all the movies in alphabetical order. The first one was Ash. Second one was Bishop. Then in Alien Resurrection, you had, I think her name was Cole. And then you had David in Prometheus. They'd been going in order.
And now you get Walter.
And then you get Walter. Ridley just went nuts and went, no, Walter. You couldn't have called him Ernie or
Yeah.
something.
Evan.
Yeah, whatever.
Ezadiah.
Yeah.
But no, that's a good thing to point on. It's this idea that everything needs a reason.
is.
This idea that you have to over-explain everything to justify the fact that you're making a prequel.
Yeah.
Even though part of what made it fun in the first place is that there was mystery.
What sold me was like, hey, we're gonna get what was up with this ship that was crash landed that they found in the
Well, no,
original.
you don't. You don't get any of that because
No.
Prometheus itself was on a different planet that wasn't alien.
Right.
Then we end with David and Shaw flying off, going for the
Right.
engineer's homeworld, which this turns out to be apparently when we get to later on in the movie, and like it doesn't even remotely link with anything. And if anything, it contradicts what stuff we know
Yeah.
from Alien and Aliens, which is really
Yeah.
annoying.
Well,
So
that's what I said. That's what I was sold, and then I didn't get it. So it's so weird.
I don't even care what I was sold. I don't give a shit what they were promising. I just
Oh, I
care that
do.
I just care that it's bad. It's stupid. The whole
Yeah.
thing, every idea in this movie is garbage.
Yeah. Well, and we get to the terrible scientists again. Like, these are our best and
Oh, yeah.
brightest for sending into space. And
Oh.
like Pete said in the non-spoiler section, you get that space is a really dangerous place. And when when we see like this neutrino field that disables the ship and causes all the problems.
Because we open, we have this tragedy. There's like a solar flare or whatever hits their charging solar panels, and
those are cool.
It sets some of the cryosleep pods on fire, and James Franco's character, who we don't even find out it was him until after the fact when we see him in a video, dies in the opening. That's Daniel's husband, because they're all couples. Because this is a colonization mission. Everyone who's going, they're all in sets of two, and I like that. I like that it started that way because one of my problems with Prometheus was it felt like until really late on there was no threat. Everyone was just kind of, we're going out to like dream about big things and
they're explorers and but it's just like
but there was no
broad sweeping.
Yeah, there was no tension. There was no urgency to anything. Whereas this started off, someone died. I feel miserable about it. This is dangerous. And then they pick up this transmission when they're fixing things, and it leads to this other planet, which might be, they may be able to colonize that, and it would be much quicker.
And it's much closer. They're not gonna. Yeah. No one. After watching their captain burn up in the cryopod, no one's jazzed about going back in the cryopod.
Yeah, and that was the other thing is they set up this. The second in command is now the captain, and I thought, that's good. That's giving him some character stuff that will be a big deal going forward. It really wasn't. But it could have been
that he's a man of faith.
That again, sledgehammer to the head, like.
But like it has no payoff. Like it's not like like in the end he realizes that God is it's just
he just
it
gets
seems
killed.
like that's a weird detail to.
He dies in a relatively random scene.
Yeah.
Almost going. I guess this is all meaningless. Like.
We see Daniels puts on a necklace has a nail on it.
Yeah,
nail
come up later.
Yeah, well, all of these will come up later, but again, it's tied into the whole biblical imagery. Bible nails, cross, blah blah, whole thing. The problem is the movie wants to pretend it's much smarter than it is. It wants to pretend that it's got depth, and it really doesn't. It's just all these really surface level ideas. None of it carries any weight because So they get to the planet and they go down and there's like some exploring and there's like the idea that some of them are left up in the big ship while the others are down in the planet with the little ship.
Well, there's this massive storm too. That's why they can't get the main ship close enough.
And they can't communicate.
It'll break it apart.
Yeah,
they can't communicate. So they're going in blind, and you're like, okay, these are a lot of good elements to, rank like jack up the horror aspect, right? Because they're kind of helpless, and once things start going wrong. So, man.
I was also mentioned that it's a colonization ship. There's like, a dozen people awake, but there's actually thousands of people on the ship that are sleeping still. There's this idea there's an entire city full of people.
And embryos, too, that they're bringing for second-generation colonists. Like, that's the stuff that I like that Ridley Scott did that was actually really smart and sci-fi. It's the philosophical stuff that I just kind of like, you thought out the sci-fi, why couldn't you think out the philosophy? So
so
they get down to the planet.
They get down to the planet and they just kind of wander around. They find the ship from Prometheus, which has crashed here. There's hints that Shaw was around, but we don't see her. Spoiler: she was Alien 3'd. More on that later.
And again, you're talking before about how these are supposed to be like really smart scientists, but the decisions they make are so baffling. Like. A completely unknown planet, you have no idea what the danger's on, and they're kind of just going around strolling. Some of them are like, oh hey, I'm gonna stay here while you guys go on ahead.
Well,
it's like you feel like they'd be more cautious.
They scan the planet and it's basically Earth size and gravity and air and all this other stuff, but still, like, there are parts of this planet scientists go into with hazmat suits on because you don't know what bacteria is there.
Yeah, like what about germs? I don't know if they're able to detect, like, if they're able to know if there's weird wild animals that are going to...
Sure enough, that's actually what happens. There's these little germ things that go inside a couple of guys and makes them
spores.
Yeah, it basically makes them spawn these creatures. Like, they're not quite aliens, but they're...
That was grotesque and fun. Like... watching them freak out and them trying to get them back to quarantine and stuff. I was having fun with that.
Yeah.
And then when they're in quarantine, I'm just like, you're the doctor? You can't get out of the quarantine? That doesn't seem like a great quarantine.
Yeah,
You know?
that one person was really well, not the doctor that was stuck in there, but the other
Yeah.
one was just making really strange choices. Like I didn't understand why she wouldn't let her out, and then
Well, and
she's
she's
running
supposed to
around
be
and
like
slipping. And
this
Well, let's
tough.
explain what happened because we're sort of
Okay,
talking
yeah,
without actually saying what it was. The,
go ahead.
what one doctor lady locks another doctor lady because the second doctor lady is trying to help one of the men who's infected by this,
Who
and
got
once he
we should
infected?
starts,
The
say
first
two
guy,
people got infected. One that's closer to
right?
the ship, and the other's
yeah, the
farther
other
off.
one's away, the other one's walking with the other group of people because they split up, and
Yeah.
he starts to like freak out and he's like stuff starts popping out of him, and Doctor Lady number one locks her in and she's banging the door, let me out, let me out. She's like, no, it could be on you, it could be on you. I need to play it safe. But then the rest of the whole thing plays out. The thing gets out anyway, and she ends up having to like blow up the ship.
Yeah,
Which, like, I get it. The thing's like a face hugger, and it's skittering around, and it gets out. But so you're just gonna start randomly firing around your spaceship? You're one wave off the planet?
Yeah, she's
Like,
very, very happy-go-lucky with that shotgun.
yeah,
and I'm just like, even in the thing, you didn't get some, like, where you could have, because you're in, like, this desolate Arctic thing. Kurt Russell could have been just shotgun blasting around. He didn't, because the
yeah.
characters were smart and well thought out, you know?
It-
Yeah.
And I will say I did like I guess we'd call it backburster scene.
Yeah.
They're called,
Like,
actually, I know what they're supposed to be called,
Oh.
actually. Well,
oh
because
yeah,
our,
okay.
our regular aliens are the xenomorphs. These are
Uh-huh.
called neomorphs.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, like see, I didn't like the actual creatures, but the actual like act of like this first one when it exploded out, and then you see like the intestines just fall out their back and they
Yeah.
kind of slump over.
Oh,
Like
it was
as a
brutal.
horror fan,
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, there was
Yeah.
one character got the jaw ripped off, which I thought was pretty
Yeah.
brutal around this part. So basically, we end up with two of these things because the one in the ship that spawned one, and then the other guy who's with them, and they start. It's basically it turns into like the Velociraptor and the long grass from Lost World, where
Yeah.
they're popping up and just killing them really randomly. And this is where the movie's about to nosedive, because even though there's been some stupid things up until this point, I wasn't necessarily like, oh my god, this is going to be terrible because of a couple of things.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, this is just you have to deal with to get to
Yeah.
the story points, and that's fine. It's delivered so far.
And then a hooded figure shows up and fires a flare gun into the air, and I was like, "Oh, I don't think I'm going to like this." It was just a sense. It was a sense that this character's going to give us an exposition dump. I felt it coming. I could just feel it
Yeah.
in my bones.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned the Velociraptors earlier, Pete, because when this guy comes out, my first thought was, oh no, the Jurassic Park 3ing it.
And they kind of do.
But Jurassic Park 3 is a better movie.
Yeah, I'm not. Hey, ain't gonna argue. I'll take
as
any of the
amazing
Jurassics to this.
As amazing
Even
as
Lost
that is
World.
to say, I think that's accurate.
It's more consistent, I guess, if nothing else.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
But so it turns out to be David, who's got a stupid wig on. He's got long hair. He looks stupid.
Yeah. So answer me this, Pete. These I know they're androids. Can they grow hair? Where do you get the hair from?
Honestly, Matt, before this, I'd have said probably not, but now that we've seen this, clearly they do. But then again, to be fair, one of the plot points is that he was too human, and it made people, it freaked people out, so they actually deliberately made the new androids
Yeah.
less human. So to be
Ooh.
fair, maybe that's why.
Yeah. So let me talk about Walter real quick too, compared to David, in that Walter feels very much more blue collary. Like he felt like he could have been on Ripley's ship,
Yeah.
hanging out with those guys. And so, you know, and he's a good android. Like he wakes him up. Like you don't get any of this like he's doing shady stuff. And in this attack in the grass, he loses a hand, saving Daniels.
Yeah.
Like one of the creatures jumps at her, he stops it, and like
That's
he's a
another
good character.
That's another good point. The movie kind of opens in a very similar way to Prometheus on the ship, where it's like just him on his own. Like so, in this case, it's Walter
Yeah.
instead of David, but he's on his own while
Right.
everyone's asleep, and he's like maintaining the ship. And then obviously,
Yeah.
the reason why he wakes people up is because this disaster hits, so he has to
Yeah.
wake up the essential crew that are going to deal with it.
To
But
get him out of it, because him and the ship can't do it by themselves because he tries.
yeah, so nah, so I thought, yeah, obviously Michael Fassbender is a great actor. He is, right?
Yeah,
But honestly, everything following this moment, I hated with him. Pretty much universally. So he takes them to this abandoned city. It's full of like
which
these.
looks as an Indiana Jones fan, it looked dope. I got excited. I was like, oh, a lost civilization? They're all
Yeah.
burnt up. What happened?
Well, this is the thing. So he takes them to this city, and he goes in, and we get the exposition dump. We get that him and Shaw arrived here with a ship. The ship went sort of on autopilot back to their home world,
Yeah.
and we get this flashback. We get this flashback of this entire civilization of engineers, the characters that we learned about in the last movie, and we see that this black goo, which I'm going to call the medical orange juice, got dropped. He says by accident. We find out later it wasn't accidental.
Yeah,
But,
he said that they crashed the ship and spores got out and infected everybody.
but we see that this stuff basically falls down, and immediately just everyone on the planet starts turning and spawning creatures, because that's what this goo does. And I had a couple of problems with this. One, you basically just nullified this entire. I kind of like the idea that the alien fired back on them and it wiped out their race. I think that's a cool idea. But see this goo just do it in seconds, made it feel like such a non-thing.
It was almost like he was dropping napalm on him and not a biological type thing.
And also,
Oh.
in this movie itself, it took, at least an hour for this to happen to the people who got the stuff in them. Well, in this flashback, it hits them and they're immediately spawning things.
So did it? I might have missed this, but did it just kill them, or did it actually make aliens like?
It
come
created
from them?
like the weird fungus that's created the spores.
Yeah.
Oh, so
You
like
know-
those egg things.
Yeah,
Oh.
that dusts up and stuff.
Oh.
That's
Yeah.
why it's all over the planet, like in the different spots they went to.
No, it did
Yeah,
make some
people got
aliens, because
infected.
as we find out later, David has become a bit of a
Dr.
Victor
Moreau.
Frankenstein.
a zoologist, I'll call him. I'll be kind. But he's been experimenting on different things that is spawned from the engineers and various things. And we find out, this is where we find out that the alien freed Shaw, and that she's not only already dead, she's like, they're dead on a table because he was experimenting on her. He was trying to do stuff. And basically we find out that he has become obsessed with creating his own life, because that's the whole theme of the movie. It's like the creators of life and all that. And we find out that he's been experimenting, trying to create the perfect organism, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I know where they're going with this. Oh dear. And he introduces like the one soldier to a room full of the eggs, and he
Which
is
again comes from nowhere.
it comes from nowhere.
Yeah.
But I've got just a subtle line of thought here. So the eggs, and that leads to, of course, facehuggers, and then the alien that leads to the rest of the movie. Now, there's parts of this I don't completely hate. The part I don't completely hate is the idea that an android somehow is responsible, in a sense, for the alien. Because since the very first movie, Ash described him as a perfect organism. So the idea that an android created life and made it so perfect is an interesting kind of idea on its own. The problem here, though, is that this, A, comes out of nowhere, B, I hate David's character at this point, because keep in mind, this is post-fingering flute and everything else.
I
with
don't
him.
understand that scene. I really don't.
Well, that's for people that are have a Fassbender fetish. Because I mean, like Fassbender on Fassbender is the ultimate, thing that they
the
can
scene
see.
goes on for like 5 minutes. I was like, you couldn't develop the characters more, but we had to watch Michael Fassbender blowing into a flute for 5 minutes.
Now, as much as I said I don't hate the idea that an android, an artificial life, created something this, genetically perfect, my problem here is, A, I don't really need to see, with this much detail, how the alien came to be. Right? I really don't. You're just taking away the mystery. And secondly, after this point, all movie I was thinking, right, someone's going to become the first queen, because we know that there's a queen that lays the eggs, right?
Yep.
And I was thinking, maybe that's going to be the ending, is that Daniels becomes the first queen, and but that never happens. That just never happens. In fact, the movie ends with the embryos of the facehuggers, and I'm like, well, how does this even remotely link into the species that we know?
We've learned like the life cycle of a xenomorph and even a neomorph, right? But then again, and this is gonna be so hacky, but there's like a xenomorph of the egg situation here. Like, which came first?
Oh, well, it's the egg. And I can almost kind of buy that just because, okay, David made the egg, but there has to be a queen
Right?
to lay the eggs, to lay more eggs. Because when we see that ship in Alien, right, it's filled with eggs, right? This ship is crashed with eggs already in it. So this isn't David's ship. This is another ship.
Right.
So I don't understand remotely how it connects. And the funny thing is people are going to say, well, does it matter that much if you're getting a good movie? Well, A, we're not getting a good movie. B,
Yeah, so it does matter very much.
but the thing is, though, is I agree that I actually don't want to know any of this. I actually think it's better not knowing it. It's better having the mystery. But if you're going to do it, if you're going to go back and start doing all these things that's supposed to connect into new things, all you've done is make a movie where it somehow strays away further from everything, so that we need another movie to stray it all back and magically connect.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is that by the time we actually get back to it tying into the start of Alien, it's going to feel so goddamn convoluted that the whole thing is going to feel like
Doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter. Yeah, just ignore it because it just ruins Alien.
I just
See-
and the whole creation and destroyer thing again. Yeah, there's something there, but the people that are like, "Oh man, this is saying something interesting on that." It's not though. Like these are drunken conversations you hear at a bar. Tight. Like philosophizing. I knew I'd nail it. But it wasn't that interesting. Once David was introduced, I was kind of like, well, all right. I still don't understand his motivations from the first one.
Well,
I didn't really understand his motivations at all. I thought it was weird, and
I think what they're trying to get at is that because he was made too human, and like he was created by a guy who had a god complex, that now he has a god complex, and he's developed the same thing.
Well, doesn't Wayland Yutani make all of the androids? Right? So is he
yes.
like was he Wayland's like first one?
Yeah, he was the first one. Yes, he was the first android.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess that makes more sense than why the other ones don't have the same. Because I always felt like in the other movies, they're just doing their mission. It's their programming. But David feels very much like he's making up his own mind.
Yeah. Well,
He's
that's what they say. He was too human, and that freaked people out. So they fixed him, and
I much prefer Walter and his blue collarness.
Walter's much more reminiscent of the androids in the other movies. Like he actually feels kind of like that type of character. And we have this thing where David tries to teach him stuff and tries to teach him about life and treats him like a brother and all the rest of it. And all of it comes down to setting up the most obvious twist that is so obvious that I thought that they were. I thought they wanted to.
I was so mad.
Well, that's the thing. Because they do this thing where they're fighting each other just as everyone's trying to escape and get on the ship that's come down for them from the main ship. Because Danny McBride's came down with these little, he's like sort of loader bay ship thing that has thrusters on it, and they're all running to it as the aliens are trying to attack. Blah 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 blah. Right, and the androids are fighting David and Walter, and they have this thing where you don't see who wins the fight. And then you see Walter run out, and I'm like, all right, that's just really obviously telegraphing the twist that it's actually David who's changed his clothes, right? Yep. And that's fine, but it was so obvious that I thought maybe they want me to think that, and they're going to it's a red herring, right?
Yep, that's what I thought too. And I thought, well, maybe it's the wrong hand, and that's the
clue
what we're supposed to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And it's not; it's the same one. Like it just, it was a twist that wasn't a twist. So is it a twist?
I really, really hated this fight. I thought it was so over the top, and it felt like comic booky, like the way they're fighting and throwing each other into walls. And it's not like it looked bad, but I'm like, this is not like what I want in an alien movie. I don't want over the top, people flying, kicking each other through things. And
no, I agree. It doesn't feel like something that's in this world. It doesn't feel like something that belongs in Alien. Same with even just seeing the planet of the engineers. Like the space jockey was a really intriguing thing. It was really mysterious, and I feel like all the stuff with the engineers is honestly just kind of made them uninteresting. To the point where much
they
like
wiped it out.
I was going to say, much like Star Wars, I am going to ignore these movies when I watch Alien. As far as I'm concerned, these aren't canon, because screw them. All they do is neuter the stuff that's interesting in that movie.
Yeah. Well, it's like the engineers don't even matter. Like, we had a whole Prometheus where they were the driving force, and at the end they wake that one up, and he's all pissed off and hulks out. And here they just wipe out the homeworld? Yeah, was that easy?
They basically Alien 3 the entire civilization.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's what I was really like when Prometheus ended. I was like, oh, cool. Then the next movie will maybe be them looking for this thing and an uneasy alliance between Shaw and David, and then we just skip over all that, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't want that movie now.
Well,
After
that's
this
the
one.
insane thing. He says that the movie in between is going to show the story of David and Shaw getting to this planet. I'm like, I feel like there's nothing left to tell. I feel like you told the whole
Yeah.
thing already
Uh-huh.
in this.
Yeah.
What's
So
left?
it's so weird that you would go back to that.
And like,
Yeah.
what are you even going to do with it? Like, let's be honest here. The reason why this one's called Alien Covenant is because Prometheus didn't do as well as they wanted, and they only let them make
Yeah.
this if they was able to call it Alien. They can't call that one Alien because the Alien didn't exist yet.
And didn't these all start as his idea for Alien Paradise Lost? Like, wasn't that the
Yeah.
working thing for years?
I recall that being the title.
I remember
yeah.
that too. So I don't know. I know you're a fan of the comics, Pete. Like, did those scratch the right itch? Like the Brian Wood stuff.
Oh yeah, much more than this.
Okay.
Alien Dead Orbit that just started had one issue so far is really good.
That was really good.
Aliens Defiance is really goddamn good. That's the Brian Wood one.
Okay.
I haven't been reading that one, but when they had the Comixology sale, I bought up a bunch of random ones. And the weird thing about the comics, which is kind of different than the movie, is that I feel like not a lot of the comics have great stories, or at least stories that I'm not like that vested in. But I love seeing like the Xenomorph is such a great design. I love seeing artists' different interpretations of it. So I can get very pleased with the comic if it just has like good art showing xenomorphs and stuff, but it's such the opposite for the movie though, where it's like, they're showing us a xenomorph and I don't care.
It's weird that the other artists are better at playing in this Alien sandbox than the guy that started it is. And it's same with George Lucas.
That's why the George
comparisons.
Lucas comparison feels perfect.
Yeah.
It feels like he's just went off the deep end and he's just gone back to the well that kind of made his name for the most part.
And are people gonna be like, hey, Ridley, I don't know if this is such a great idea,
Well,
Yeah.
He hasn't had a good movie in some time, right? Like,
It's The Martian was pretty good. That's not.
I forget about The
I did
Martian.
like
I
The
forget that was him.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go back and make that stuff, Ridley, man.
And
Please.
and honestly, I think he's still a good director. This is a really weird thing to say about a director, but I think he doesn't really have an eye for a good story. When someone hands him a good script, he goes away and makes a great movie. He does.
Yeah,
He turns it into
Martian,
gold.
like you just said.
Yeah.
It was so good, I forgot he directed it. And that's not like that's not that didn't mean to sound like a slight.
Yeah.
But
And I also think it's hard when you create a character and it kind of gets away from you. Like once it's no longer your character, but it's this big franchise, public thing that people are attached to. Yeah, and and you maybe haven't touched it in a while, and you have all these ideas, but then there's been all these other stories and interpretations and new meanings given to it that don't really jive with what you're thinking or what you're about anymore. It makes like a weird disconnect.
Yeah. It's I mean, honestly, I'm at the opinion now where prequels are just typically a bad idea. There's very few that I legitimately love.
It's not. It's never interesting, and it's never like you don't really want to know. It's weird to tell a story where you already know the ending because essentially that the movie you already saw is where everything leads to.
And
so
the few ones that it does work, like Better Call Saul's on right now, right, and that is actually phenomenal, right? That is.
Yeah.
It's sort of like.
But it's not the Walter White prequel though. It's set in the world.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
But but even though you know that eventually that character has to have a downfall because of where he is at the start of Breaking Bad, it's how, why, and that show is executed so well, and it's down to execution. They know what they're doing to the point where I'm constantly hoping that he somehow defies the odds and makes it out, even though I know he can't. Like that's good storytelling. Here it feels like, no, we want to go back to Alien, we want to put in things people recognise from the other movies, and we want to have, and as fun as the claw on the little ship that comes down to save them, and because at this point the alien's already been born, the alien's been born, we have that really awful moment where it's the little CG alien, and he's like sort of waving at David.
I kind of wish I didn't start tap dancing like in Spaceballs.
Yeah. But we have that thing where we literally have this over-the-top action scene where Daniels is like tethered to the ship, and she's like flying around on this line like an absolute little toy,
like bait
Yeah.
for the alien.
Now,
And
one
they-
thing I kept thinking about through like these movies is one of the big things that's missing from them is Ripley just being such a cool, badass character. And, you know, we haven't really had someone like that to follow. And then I feel like towards the end, they're trying real hard to make Daniels into this badass Ripley-esque character,
Kinda,
which
yeah.
I guess they kind of do, but
Well,
it feels like it comes out of nowhere.
But again, they don't know, because all they're doing is giving us imagery that is kind of similar to stuff we already see. Like I was saying, as fun as the cloth thing is, where it grabs the alien, it kind of feels like, oh, this is kind of getting into power loader territory. And
Yeah, you ain't the power loader.
And here's the thing. This is the really weird thing I hate about some prequels, is that they do this thing where, oh, we're going to reference something that's not actually happened yet in this universe. And the problem is, though, is because they don't give it the same amount of time, because they feel like, oh, the audience has already seen this, so we don't want to spend as much time on it. They truncate it. And this is my problem with the third act. You've got the alien run about on the ship, right? And it lasts for maybe 25 minutes, if that, right? And the whole thing is so quick. The alien... Like, there's no sense of brooding tension, there's no sense of any of this. Like, you go back and watch Alien, and there's this dread of where is it in the ship, and it doesn't happen quickly. Once it kills one, there's time before it kills another. In this, it's just storming around. We get that stupid POV alien shot. I don't know who thought that was a good idea.
Yeah.
I had a problem with this, and then going back earlier to like the neomorphs and stuff too. It's a similar problem to I have with like modern zombies, where there's no subtlety to them. They feel less predatory and more like crazy feral. Like there's a lot of shots of like the alien, and it's like raising its arms back. It does that scream that you've heard a million times, where like, "Rawr!" And then like it's running towards you, and so, and I don't like that. I like the original Alien, the subtlety, it's. And again, it's, there's limitations to the stuff they could do back then, but I think it's so much more effective when it's creeping. Yeah,
that raspy breathing is way more terrifying.
I don't mind the scream once in a while. I think the problem here is that it doesn't treat it with. It doesn't feel like the same intelligent animal. That's why
I thought it was a proto one.
But it's not. It's the alien.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. That's why I thought it was a proto one, because it didn't feel like the one.
Because it gets baited so easily. They keep trapping it. They keep tricking it. We have this scene at the end where it comes into the cargo hold where all the sort of like smaller like trucks are and stuff, and the two characters are hiding around and try to lure it into the right trap so they can like shoot it out the airlock. And I'm like, this should be fun. This should be like my favourite scene of the movie. This should be tense. This should be exhilarating, and it's not, because I feel like it does this prequel thing where it gets to the stuff that they know the audience is going to recognise. Feel like, oh, we have to have this. We have to have the alien creeping around on a ship, but they don't want to spend the time on it, so it feels like they're just going through a checklist. We need to have this famous moment from the other movies that they're going to recognise. We need to have this moment from the other movies they're going to recognise.
And then talking again about how like this movie doesn't really seem like it knows what it wants to be. We had that shot with the couple like taking a shower, and then the alien comes out of nowhere. It seemed such like a weird misplaced, like, oh, this is like a slasher.
Yeah, it's like a proper slasher movie scene.
Yeah. And then when the alien's like crawling on the ship in Tennessee, is like, we got company. I was like, that's like the most like cliche like action movie line. Like there's so many weird things that stand out to me like that I'm just like, I don't understand what this is trying to be.
It feels too light.
Who this is for.
It doesn't have the weight that the good alien movies have, which is just weird and bizarre. It's almost like that line. We got company. It feels like, oh, we need to have a little bit of that Marvel movie magic and have it be light with some jokes for the.
It's really in Avatar when he's like, we're not in Kansas anymore. And I was like, you still saying that in the future?
Yeah.
Like,
shut up. I like Avatar.
And also, it's kind of weird too, where it's like, we got company. It's like, you haven't even seen the alien yet. Do you even know that they're running from an alien? Like, shouldn't you be a little more like, what the hell is this thing? Here's
my thing, right? So, they mentioned that there's no animals, right? It's super quiet. Like, the birds aren't chirping. There's no bugs. We know all those spores are around, right? So, where's all the other aliens on this planet? Has David hidden them?
I don't
Do
know.
they wipe each other out?
Well,
Like,
he had all those like drawings and stuff up in his room, so clearly there was
yeah.
other stuff at least some point.
Because
I
now
mean,
that's something that would be cool. Like if they get there and there's all these different kinds,
Hmm.
I mean,
like
I mean, he's been there for what, at least like a decade.
10 years.
Maybe they're
Oh
implying
yeah,
that
he has very long
yeah,
hair.
exactly.
So
Maybe they're implying that like everything in the vicinity of him is pretty empty because he's basically already killed everything.
Experiment on them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought it'd be cool just listening to you guys talk about how, Tennessee is like, we got company and he doesn't even know really what's going on. Like, what if there's other life, like, on that planet that came
Do you
out?
know what the funny thing is?
We were dealing with that.
Do you know what the thing is I love Aliens, right? And part of the reason why I love Aliens and why I think it works as a movie and why I think it works as a sequel specifically to Alien is that it expands so much of the world. Like, the first movie's very small. It's these just 8 characters on a ship. We don't see anything else. It's hinted at what the rest of the universe is like, but we don't get to see it. Second movie adds in the military, adds in a bit more of the company, and we get a
Right.
sense of this colonization mission, and it opens up a little bit. But and it does open up the aliens a bit because we get the Queen, but it keeps the mystery for the most part of where the aliens came from. It keeps
Yeah.
the mystery and the fear of the aliens, but it expands the world in different ways. I feel like what these prequels keep trying to do is expand the mythology of the alien and where they came from, instead of expanding the other stuff,
The
which
world.
which is actually the stuff that would probably be more interesting. Because I said this in a review of Prometheus and maybe Resurrection. I can't remember. I said this a couple of times. But for me, forget 3, 4, Prometheus, the AVP. To me, the natural evolution after Aliens is to go bigger again and have the aliens in a city or a giant space station where there's like an entire population to try and save.
Yeah.
You put them in unique situations, but I feel like ever since Aliens, they've been too scared to do that. So they're either doing something that's similar to one of those 2 movies. They're either on a ship or they're in like a sort of smaller location like Aliens, and they're afraid to do anything that they don't know for sure works, which ironically has not worked since. So,
Space station would be dope because you could jettison them outside
in fact,
and then they cycle back around and they can get back in. That's terrifying.
and I have proof of this to a point, because Alien Isolation, the video game,
Huh?
is a better Alien sequel than any of the movies after Aliens. It legitimately is. It's good. It's tense. It connects to the world because you're playing Ripley's daughter, but you're not Ripley herself. So it's disconnected to stuff enough but it's got a lot of the same imagery, and it does a great job of recreating how that movie feels technology-wise, with all the computers and the way the screens look, which was something that really bothered me in Prometheus and to an extent in this one. Although I think this one did a better job of at least having a couple of things, like the noise the computers made sounded kind of like Alien, and the fact that they had a mother, the computer on board was called Mother.
Yeah.
They had a couple of things, whereas Prometheus, it felt like all of a sudden their technologies look super high-tech when, Alien wasn't, obviously.
I think you kind of hit on a larger problem with like Hollywood in general right now, and I heard some people talking about on a podcast recently that like a lot of producers and companies and stuff are scared right now. They don't really know what to do, so that's why they just keep trying to go back to these wells and rebooting
they want easy
stuff.
money.
Yeah, and it's like a safe bet. Like, here's a franchise, here's a recognizable thing, people will come out and you know. So let's make it, and let's try to not make it too crazy.
Which, funnily enough, isn't necessarily have to be mean that the movie's not inspired or whatever. Like, look at Mad Max Fury Road.
Sure, yeah.
Like, that is like fantastic.
Oh yeah.
You could easily do a movie in the Alien universe where you introduce new things, you make a movie that you want to make, and that's what the crazy thing about this all is that Ridley Scott talks about this like, oh, I need to make these movies. I want to do another 4. I've got so many ideas, and I heard that before I saw this movie, and then I saw this movie, and now I'm like, really? This is what you feel like you had to make? These were your ideas? What? Why the passion for this? I mean, people are making fun of James Cameron for wanting to do like a ton of Avatar movies, but you know what? Maybe once we see it, you can complain. But right now, I believe he's got some sort of master plan in there. He's got a book full of scripts that he's ready to go on.
I like to tease you about that because it always keeps getting pushed back, but that means he's taking his time because he's the one pushing them back. It's not the studios going, oh, we don't have time, we don't want to do this. So the fact that the creator's the one that's like, no, I need to refine this, I need to tweak this and that, makes me much more hopeful if he wants to do 5. and just reel them all off than
It's kind of like
he's just kind of doing it piecemeal.
it's kind of like Christopher Nolan's like one of the few big directors right now who has the clout to say I want to do this and I want to do that. Like he basically just picked I want to do Dunkirk. And Warner Bros. Like, well, yeah, you always make his money, so you do whatever you want. Like, it's fine. You know, Inception and Interstellar were original movies that were big budget and did pretty well. But most directors wouldn't be trusted with that. Like, they're terrified of doing that stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel
Well,
like
the fact that Dunkirk is, because I saw the trailer with Alien that I hadn't seen before, that it's really not a war movie. It's a movie about a rescue.
yeah,
You know?
Nolan called that a survival thriller, and that excites me actually quite a bit.
Oh.
And the fact that try selling that to a studio, we're like, well, I'm going to need the budget of a war movie, but it's not about the war.
Yeah,
And they're just like, all right, Chris, here you go, man. You're good.
I mean, it's set in a war, but it's not like the war's the situation they're in. But that's not what it's not a war movie. It's not about winning the war. It's not about but this is why I don't understand that Ridley Scott talks about this as if he's been like James Cameron and Christopher Nolan or whoever. It's like he's been on a tour who's like, oh, I've got these visionary things that I want to do, and all of it's part of the Alien universe and the saga. I want to expand it and do 4 more, and I'm like, I don't want to see you make 4 more. I really don't.
Does he have anything to do with Blade Runner that's coming out?
He's executive producing it, but it's Dennis.
But that's it.
It's Dennis Villeneuve who's directing it.
Villeneuve's okay. Well, then I'm less worried about. I got a little bit worried after watching this, going, maybe we shouldn't be adapting these old proprities. But I trust Villeneuve.
Yeah.
Just on his
and
last
to be fair, the
record.
trailer for that's quite good. Whereas the trailer for this, I thought, it was an okay trailer. But obviously, I'm hoping the movie's better. But
So when AVP came out, that had replaced something. Was it going to be another James Cameron Alien movie?
well, this is the thing. I was really pissed off when I heard about this because this would have been amazing. Ridley Scott was going to direct Alien 5, written by James Cameron.
All right, so that sounds like that would have been awesome, but instead we got AVP. Now, with this movie, did this basically replace the Neil Blomkamp Alien movie?
You know what the funny thing is they said we've delayed it because Ridley's going to do his sequel to Prometheus, and it was going to be done after. And then Ridley went, "Oh, I want to do 4 more of these." And then now it feels like Blomkamp's movie's never going to happen. And I would, after this, I would much rather have a Blomkamp Aliens sequel than any of this.
So
It's just weird that like these great movies keep like getting interrupted
Slipping.
by horrible ones. Yeah.
So as we recorded, I just pulled up the box office, and it only made 36.
Oh wow.
It only beat Guardians by $1 million. So, and Guardians is on its 3rd week.
Yeah.
So,
It's funny. I saw a headline that was like Alien Covenant crushes Guardians opening weekend. I'm like, yeah, but Guardians has already been out for like a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I don't know. So
let me check the worldwide.
So let me talk about that. Obviously, there's some alien stalking. They get out of the airlock, and we're supposed to care. Blah blah blah. And they do the whole reveal that it's actually David because he tucks her into the cryo sleep, and she references something she told him earlier in the movie about wanting to build a cabin for her dead husband. And he has no idea what she's talking about, and she can see that he has no idea, and she's like, "Oh no, it's David, not Walter."
He's so like smart and crazy and able to like make stuff up, but he can't like make up a little lie by going like, "Yes, I'll help you build it." Like he seems so dumbfounded by this prospect. Like there's no way he can fabricate any type of answer to her.
And here's the thing. So he puts her to sleep. She's already locked in. He now has control of the ship. He coughs up a couple of embryos with facehuggers in them and puts them in the freezer with the rest of the embryos.
That was so dumb. It's like he was a drug smuggler.
Yeah.
Balloons full of coke.
And he walks off, and that's the end of the movie. And here's the thing. So he's in control of this ship that's got 2,000 colonists on it. And, I mean, I guess that explains how we end up with all those eggs at the start of Alien. It's probably all these colonists, I would imagine. But it feels like... So where's it going, though? And what? And here's the thing. All those eggs at the start of Alien are on one of the engineers' ships. How did they get on one of those ships? It's not like he has that ship anymore. We're now on this big ship. We're on the Covenant.
You know what's funny is these are really good questions that I don't care about the answer to.
Yeah, me neither. Honestly, I will be quite happy if Fox just say, no more Ridley, and we can just erase this from continuity. Because, funnily enough, Blomkamp's movie was going to erase 3 and 4 from continuity, and I was okay with that. And honestly, I kind of like those more than this.
Yeah.
And I have I have tons of problems with 3. 4's not a great movie, but like I have some nostalgia for it.
It's fun.
Yeah, I can watch 4.
Yeah, like if this was just a stupid movie with not a lot of plot, but a lot of alien, I would have been much happier.
Yeah,
but
it could have
instead
been
they
fun.
try to be more, and it becomes less.
Don't get me wrong. Like it's kind of a shame that we'd get like this alien knockoff movie where it's just a mindless slasher movie essentially with the alien. But I would have at least had some base level fun with that I could have enjoyed. Whereas this instead tries to like poke holes in everything. It's like, oh, it's really this and it's really that, and I'll do the fingering.
God, I hated that scene so much.
I think that was the scene though where I was sitting there just sort of and I was just, hand was on my face and I was just kind of like, oh god, I think this is Attack of the Clones. Like it was hitting me and it was upsetting me and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
All David needed to say is how much he hates sand.
Kind of did.
Now, I do just want to say real quick, the whole idea of, David and him being this, android with a god complex, studying and dissecting these creatures on an alien planet, I actually kind of like that idea, just not in this movie. Like, if it was its own separate movie, like The Planet of Dr. Moreau, I think that actually could be pretty badass. But
it doesn't fit with Alien.
Yeah, it's almost like if Ridley wanted to make a movie in the Alien universe but not have any aliens and instead call it Android, maybe that could have been like cool. But just trying to mash everything together it just doesn't work.
You should go read Aliens Defiance. Aliens Defiance is about an android who works for Weyland-Yutani who realizes what they're trying to do with the species and because grows enough of a conscience that he teams up with a colonial marine to go around the galaxy finding every specimen of xenomorph and tries to kill them all. That's the plot of Aliens Defiance. It's great.
Well, I'm sold. Is that out in trade yet?
I think the first trade's out, yeah.
And I think it actually I think they still have the Alien sale going on in Comixology, so you might be able to even pick up a bunch of issues for cheap.
Gotcha.
I recommend it, and it even does some. It basically takes stuff we know. I want to say something, but it's kind of spoiler for the series, so I won't. But there's a really cool thing about 7-8 issues in that it experiments with just stuff we know from the series and it tries to do different things with it. They try to deal with things, but
there's also a really good one called Salvation, drawn by Mike Mignola, that I would highly recommend.
Yeah, I've not read that, but it is on my radar.
Yeah, that one's great. And like you mentioned earlier, the new one that started, Dead Orbit, by James Stokoe, who is one of my favorite artists. It's off to a little bit of a slow burn, but I liked it. But the art is absolutely amazing.
It should be a slow burn. I actually stand by that.
Certainly, yeah.
I think even Aliens is a slow burn. People forget that, but it is. It just doesn't feel like a slow burn in comparison to Alien 1, because that's slower. But they're intentionally slow-paced films, especially Alien, and it works for the better.
Yeah. Because
you build tension, you build mystery, you build all these things, and then you feel like a crazy old man just walked in the room and goes, "Oh no, it's really this. Haha, bye." And left.
All right, Grandpa, go back and play your flute.
I feel it's a shit because I love Ridley Scott. I do. He has made some fantastic movies over his career, but
without a doubt,
it feels like for every great one, there's a clunker, and then this is finally the price. This is the price for Alien. Was this shitfest?
Yeah, and I also think it's a warning to like. Kind of be careful what you wish for. I feel like all the time people are like, I want more of this, I want more of this, I want more of this. And, as fans of all these nerdy things, we're at a time now where we're getting more than we can handle. And I think it's like we're reaching a point where, maybe we're realizing all these adaptations might not be the best thing. I don't know.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily argue adaptations, but you know,
I don't know.
sequels and prequels and reboots and things like that.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with adaptations in general. Movies have been adapting books since like the 30s.
I'm not talking about books in general. I'm talking about all the nerdy stuff that we're in this overload where every comic book show, every like comic book is now a TV or a TV show.
Yeah, that's more specific. Yeah, like definitely we're at comic book adaptation hysteria.
Oversaturation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To the point where it's getting to this weird stage where like I'm not as excited for the Marvel movies anymore, and I thought Civil War was kind of underwhelming, and you know some people feel that spark still. It's kind of waned for me. I'm
stoked for Spider-Man, and then I'll be stoked for Thor. So
I'm very excited for those. I saw, it's a shame because they have the like newest trailer for War of the Planet of the Apes before Alien, and like throughout the movie I kept thinking like, man, I really want to see War Planet of the Apes. Like, you shouldn't be thinking about that when you're watching a new movie.
Talk about a reboot that went well.
Yeah,
that's reboot.
Fantastic.
That was a reboot where I said no one wants this, and then I saw it and went, no, they were right. I was wrong.
Also featuring James Franco.
Funnily enough, and then Dawn was even better. So yeah, I'm looking forward to War.
And this one looks so great.
Yeah, it does.
I'm sorry. I just mark out for gorillas on horseback. I can't. Yeah.
Chimps throwing grenades.
To just go back to the Marvel thing for a second, I think they are very good at what they do, but they are fast food. Like, they are very good fast food. They've got it down to a T, but they're fast food.
I would disagree with that. I think I don't think you're necessarily wrong. I think there's a level of comfortability with them now where I don't think there's any movies that I really, really actively dislike, or at least not any of the recent ones, but there are definitely some now where it's more like, all right, this is just going by the numbers. But I think there are still ones that...
I feel like you're talking about Doctor Strange, Timmy.
Yeah, that one was a little underwhelming. But, I mean, I disagree with like, Civil War, though. I absolutely love that. And I think they do still hit ones out of the park. But I understand what you're saying. And I think obviously Marvel is the one that has the most output at this point, but I think it's spreading to pretty much everything. Well,
it is.
Eventually, the only movies we're gonna have are.
I mean, King Arthur was supposed to be the first of 6.
Yeah,
and it tanked hard. Richie. So good luck with that.
I listened to a ton of podcasts that he was on promoting, and he was so stoked. He worked so hard on these, on that one. The original cut was 3.5 hours, and he got it down to 2.
Jesus.
And he was so excited about that. And
but just to wrap this back around to Alien Covenant, right? This is another problem in the movie, is that honestly, watching this, it felt like a giant trailer for the next one.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it now. It didn't feel like Ridley was that passionate about certain aspects. Like, I got that he was really excited over the David storyline. And if that's the case, I almost rather have had him do that story instead of this one.
Right.
Because if that's where all his energy was, then why not just do that? And it might not be a movie. We might have liked it even less, but I think it wouldn't have felt as disposable as this one was.
Well, that's again to the point I made earlier with Prometheus. I don't think that was a good movie, and I would say I probably like Alien better than Prometheus, but at the same time, I respect it more because it was trying to be different.
You mean Covenant?
Yeah, Covenant.
You said Alien.
Well, obviously, I mean the Alien movie we're talking about. Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Gotta
make sure, Timmy. Make sure, Timmy.
The funny thing is, I left it thinking, I probably like that more than Prometheus, although I kind of hate a lot of it. And I guess I still do, because at least the opening act was better than anything in Prometheus for me.
Yeah, I think it's a better movie than Prometheus, but it's even more frustrating because we got through Prometheus. We got through all that weird, boring stuff, and this one should have been better.
And then
it could have been the chosen one.
Because Prometheus felt that way as well at the end, but the end of it just felt like a advert for the next movie. That's what it felt like. And then this one feels like that again. It doesn't feel like it's a own complete thing. And that's where like Marvel's not doing too badly with it, but that's something they run the risk of sometimes. Is like, is this just all building up to the next thing kind of thing, rather than feeling like a full meal on its own. Which is kind of why with Civil War I felt a bit underwhelmed, because it felt kind of like that to me. It felt like it was setting up a lot of stuff for later rather than being a full meal on its own. And I feel like this Alien Covenant is super guilty of that. It doesn't feel like it cares enough about its own characters enough to make it their story. It's more about setting up things that he wants to do later. And that's a horrible feeling to feel.
Then he's not going to do it. And then he's going to say, we have a movie that takes place in between these ones, too. And he's just never going to do it.
Because
don't understand.
There's nothing worse watching something and feeling like, oh, this is not what they actually wanted to do. This is just the setup for what they want to do. And you feel like, well, but I don't care. You have to make me care about it. And
yeah. Say what you will about the Fast movies, but they know what they are. They don't try to be anything different.
well, why are we comparing them to Fast Furious?
Just because we know what they are. Like, yeah, they're not the best, but I've never been frustrated with a Fast movie. I felt like I knew what I was getting with Covenant, and Ridley went, nope. He goes, here's this hand, and they slapped me with the other. Yeah. So, yeah.
Honestly, I'm all for being surprised if it's going to be more than what it is, but it just needs to be good. I mean, really, that's what it boils down to for me. Is it just needs to be good. And I don't like a lot of these ideas that it introduces. I don't like how it waters things down. I don't like how it uses alien moments to try and remember that moment from the other movie you like, the good one. Because it kind of reminds me of the Halloween remake in a weird way, where that Halloween remake, the second half was the remake of the first movie, but it shortened into about 40 minutes, so nothing had any of the tension or the pacing. It was just sort of running through it, check off the list.
But Ridley Scott's a competent director still, even in his worst.
Oh, sure, yeah. Visually, yes. Visually, music stuff, that's good. But that alone does not make for a movie. And in this case, I care about this franchise. I care about the alien world, and it just kind of tampers with it and makes it feel like a less succinct place. And that kind of sucks. So
yes, it does. So Pete, if you had to rate this out of 10, what you giving it?
4. I'm going with a 4.
Timmy?
Thinking around the same. It's hard because I might go a little higher, 4.5, maybe even a 5, just because there's so much wrong. But again, the nice landscapes and the way it looks and sounds and stuff. Like if I ever wanted to, for some reason, I wouldn't buy it, but maybe if it was on HBO and I just put it on, I would get pleasure at looking at some of it or watching certain moments. I did actually like the alien moments at the end when they were fighting it. It seems totally misplaced and weird and unwarranted, but I did appreciate those a little bit. So yeah, probably 4.5, maybe 5 if I'm generous.
I like the first act, especially the stuff on the ship. Everything on the ship when it was just them dealing with space travel and the mystery of the signal. I enjoyed all that.
Yeah.
Oh, Matt, your mic's going. All troning. He's going all Android and corrupt now. Matt, what would you want to rate it out of 10?
So I'm gonna give it a 5. Just because I really did enjoy Walter as a character and the stuff that we got with him, and like you said at the beginning, and I had fun with the end because I just sat through the flute scene. I better get some alien stuff.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. On a pure action level, there's some fun stuff at the end, but at that point, it just feels like it's so truncated.
Yeah, I think in a better movie, it stands out more as not alien, But in this one, I was just I was excited something was happening, than just walking around looking at weird pictures David drew,
Well, yeah, that was the other thing, actually.
Look at this picture I drew.
Although the fact that it's a complete exposition dump and I don't like any of the ideas it introduces, that middle of the movie, the pacing just comes to a grinding halt.
Yep.
And we are just waiting around in this, derelict building.
I remember checking my phone just to see what the time was, and it was, 7:40. And it felt like a long time in between. I checked again, and it was 7:45. and it felt like an eternity. So,
Matt, I gotta know
Yeah.
when the alien like popped up, when the proper xenomorph was there,
yeah.
like in full screen, did the old lady shout, "Is that Brad Pitt?"
No.
Okay.
No. Her husband did a good job at quieting her down after that.
Actually, here's a question: why was the alien so determined to get onto the ship anyway? It makes
No
a point
idea.
of running after it and jumping on it.
Before we leave, too, let me just point out, too. So we were led to believe that the engineers created these as a weapon, right? Like, these are all biological weapons.
The black goo was their weapon, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So then he wanted to make a perfect organism. David did, right?
Mm-hmm.
But an alien, Weyland-Yutani wanted to bring it back to use as a weapon. Am I following this right?
Not actually, I mean, possibly a weapon, but just for the science division, they wanted to use it to...
Okay.
Yeah, the weapon was definitely part of it, but I think just use it to
'Cause I
develop other
can't-
things and whatnot.
I can't imagine a worse idea to use as a weapon.
Yeah.
We're going to drop all these things in, and we're going to create big evil monsters that are the perfect organism that we can't destroy unless we just nuke the whole place. So
I think what would have helped it is if the fingering scene was between David and one of the aliens, just to show like, oh, this is a perfect creature. Look how well it can play the flute. This is what I've been trying
with
to
its second mouth has a smaller, smaller flute.
I want to explain what the fingering scene is, because I feel like we never did. We just keep referring to the fingering scene. Basically, David's teaching Walter how to play the flute, and he gives Walter the flute, says, "You blow in, I'll do the fingering."
God, I'm such a 13-year-old boy sometimes. I can't.
But that's the problem, though, is that it's meant to be this serious, like, sort of like moment where you're seeing like this weird reflection of life upon itself and understanding, and instead I'm giggling because the dialogue's terrible.
I almost like if there was a piano or something, I could almost understand that. But a flute, and it just it was so awkward, and the shots were weird. I hate it. That was the one scene where I was like, okay, I'm out. If I wasn't enjoying my popcorn, I might have threw it in the air.
Alright, well, I guess that's Alien Covenant. Unfortunately, one of the movies we had on our anticipated list of the year is probably going to end up on one of the disappointing / worst section of the year.
I almost wish like one of us would have liked it, because at least from what I've been seeing on my Facebook like wall and stuff, there are people that legitimately have enjoyed this, and I would have been interested to see what their opinion was.
I think a lot of people aren't looking at it as an Alien movie. They're just looking at it like, oh, this was a movie.
I don't think it works.
They're not following the threads like we would.
I don't think it works on its own though either. Like, because the characters are.
Yeah, but these are people that aren't watching Alien like we have. Like, they didn't probably go back and watch it before.
Yeah,
and they're not picking up on that.
And I'll also fully cop to being like super nitpicky, nerdy dude who's maybe thinking about stuff too much or picking stuff up apart.
But.
Yeah, but like I said, even if you ignore all that, though, I just think the pacing is like terrible, because it comes to a grinding halt in the middle. There's so many problems with it. But that's Alien Covenant.
Take us home, Pete.
Sure, that's Alien Covenant.
Fingering.
Take me home. Take me home.
That's John Denver. I know John Denver.
That's right. That was a scene. I don't remember that now. Yeah.
Still not understood why that song, but
it's because Shaw was singing it in the alien ship. Like that's a signal that they were picking up.
How far in the future this is that people are still listening to John Denver?
It's like 150 years from now.
Oh, it's not that much. It's about 90.
Still.
It's still a while. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah.
It was, I can't remember the exact date, but it was like 2110 kind of thing.
Anyways.
So this might happen to us soon.
Yeah, look forward to it, Tim.
It's not the worst thing that's happened this year.
That's true.
Alright, that has been Alien Covenant. Let us know what you think of the movie in the comments below if you've seen it. Unfortunately. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. That helps us out.
sorry, one last
Take
thing.
us home! Take us home, Pete! And I'm going to interrupt you mid-flow.
So, Tim, sometimes you're the equivalent of a backburster for momentum.
Well, no, to be fair, maybe I could have said this off air, but I'm actually really interested because I think correct me if I'm wrong, the last time all three of us got together for a movie review was Green Inferno.
Oh, shit.
Which ended up like being one of our most viewed and hated, like.
Well, if that's the thing,
Oh,
come
no,
at me, bro.
it's 50-50, Tim. The likes and dislikes
Okay.
are almost exactly 50-50.
But is it the one that we get the most like hateful comments on?
Oh yeah. We've had so many hateful comments. Most of them are not in English. I have to put most of them into Google Translate, and then it tells me the mean things they're saying about us. I don't know what's going on there.
Well,
But
hopefully we recreated that magic and we'll.
so anyway, like and subscribe, all that stuff. It helps us out a lot. If you want to help us out a bit more than that, you can go over to patreon.com/MailFustTV. See some of the cool bonuses. A lot of good movie bonuses are there if you want to check them out. But yeah, so that's us. Get us on Twitter at mail_fudge for channel updates. Thank you very much for watching once again. Keep watching movies. We'll see you next time.
Oh, one more thing.